Please join me in welcoming the new leader of the Alberta NDP, Naheed Nenshi.
While he's new to the Alberta NDP, Naheed Nenshi isn't new to Alberta politics. He was the mayor of Calgary for more than a decade after all. He was elected NDP leader in a landslide, netting 86% of the almost 73,000 votes cast.
86 is just a colossal thing. I mean, there's very little example of that in a competitive leadership race where there's, especially from an outsider doing this. He got 10 times more votes than his runner-up, 6 times more votes than the rest of the pack. You know, Danielle Smith, with a bigger, despite having a bigger membership base in the UCP, didn't get quite that many votes. Clearly, these numbers show that he didn't just win Calgarians over. Calgarians were the largest part of the party, but only 46% of the NDP. So he was really convincing people who live in places like Airdrie, Edmonton, Grand Prairie, Lethbridge, Medicine Hat, Red Deer, that he was the guy.
Now, Nenshi has to work to convince all Albertans that he's their guy too. In the last election, the NDP swept seats in Edmonton and split the vote in Calgary, but lost most of the rural ridings to the UCP.
There will be a lot of people in Alberta who are thinking, who's Mr. Calgary coming in to fix the province? But he's going to have to be attending a lot of rodeos and a lot of folk fests outside of Calgary this year to convince people that he can listen and understands issues outside Alberta's biggest city.
And so my job really is going to be in every corner of Alberta, as I always say, from high level to high prairie to high river, and listening to people and understanding what their needs are and co-creating a vision for Alberta that resonates as much in downtown Calgary as it does in Cardston.
And he's got a few years to do just that. But there might be something else that NDP members responded to.
The reason he's unifying the party is because the big ballot question for the post-Notley leadership was who can win, who can defeat Danielle Smith. This is a party that wants to get back into power after losing it in 2019, losing it in 2023, and people widely see him as the person with the best shot of taking over Danielle Smith.
Smith and Nenshi have history. They go all the way back to their time as students at the University of Calgary, where they both took a class taught by former Alberta Premier Peter Lougheed, so they know each other. Smith congratulated Nenshi on his victory, saying she looks forward to their dialogue on how to best serve Albertans. Still, Nenshi wasted no time settling into his role as the opposition.
You know, Danielle Smith recently said, in her way as she is, she gets carried away sometimes, and she claimed to be the most, I have to get this quote right, the most freedom-loving politician in Canada. But friends, she hasn't done a blessed thing to protect anybody's freedoms.
Anyone who lived through Nenshi's mayoralty knows how colorful his language can be, and Nenshi's mayoral track record could be a blessing or a curse.
It's 11 years on, but people probably still remember him for his performance in the flood, his management, his ability to communicate, to make people feel like they were all in this together, that we're going to fight to restore this city, to bring back the stampede, to all gather and volunteer and support each other and help rebuild those damaged areas. That was big. I think people will more recently remember the loss he faced in trying to get the Olympics in Calgary for 2026. He lost that in a referendum. There'll be a mixed bag for him in how people remember him from the mayoralty. But one interesting thing to keep in mind is that the current mayor, being as unpopular as she is, even more unpopular than Nenshi was, maybe some Calgarians look back at Nenshi in hindsight and see that he wasn't so bad.
Nenshi's relationship with Calgary is a fine line to walk. Politically, he may not want to be seen as quote-unquote Calgarian, but all of his political experience was as the mayor of Calgary, and that might be why some NDP members voted for him.
I think even a lot of Edmontonians were excited that Nenshi could help us win Calgary, because they knew they were not too many seats short of winning the whole province. The challenge, though, for the NDP, and you have to keep this in mind as you look at the map, is that if you win all of the seats in Edmonton, all the seats in Calgary, you have barely enough to win the legislature. You need to win outside of the two major cities, and the UCP have pretty much a lock on most of that region.
So it all comes back to the province being more than just Calgary and Edmonton.
For many, this is going to be a persuasion exercise. It's going to be, I'll think about it, come back to me. I'm still figuring myself out. I need to see more. I need to understand. But opening those doors at scale with thousands of Albertans, rinse and repeat over the course of the next many years, that's the game. And that's the strategy. That's the path forward.
But still, 2027 is a long ways away, especially in politics.
Winning that election in 2027 is not the end result. It is the means to the end. That's what makes us different than our opponents. For them, winning the election is the end. Power for power's sake. For us, winning that election means having the opportunity to build that home for all Albertans now and all Albertans to come.